Hey Kids Blast volunteers, it's Deb Moreland here. We are so excited for our Kids Blast week. It's going to be Monday, July 31st through Friday, August 4th. It will be from 5:30 to 8 p.m. every night, and I can't thank you enough for wanting to be a part of our team. It's because of all of you that we're going to be able to reach the community in such a huge way and share the love of Jesus with others. So this year we're going to do things a little different, and we're going to have our training through this video. I'm going to ask you to get a piece of paper and something to write with, and throughout this video I will ask questions, and I just need you to jot down the answers, and then I'm going to ask you to email them to me. Just reply back to the email that this video is attached to with your answers. And that way I know that everybody is on the same page and everybody's had the same kind of training. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing I want to talk about is safety. And when I'm talking about safety, I'm talking about the safety of our children. We want to protect the children. We want to protect our church. And I also want to protect you as our volunteers. So there's certain situations that you have to be really careful to avoid in order to protect the children, yourself, and our church as a whole. And so the rule of thumb is don't put yourself in a position where you are one-on-one with the child. So you are alone with the child behind a closed door, or in a bathroom stall, or in even our preschool bathroom. If there is an emergency and you need to, for example, if a child is vomiting and they're in a bathroom stall and you need to enter that stall, you need to make sure that when you're helping that child, that the stall door remains open so that any time someone else can see you. The best rule of thumb is never take a child alone to a bathroom. Always take a group of children or have two volunteers go when you're doing taking children to the bathroom. If you're working with the 4- and 5-year-olds this year, that's a little different. Sometimes they'll need assistance in the bathroom, maybe buckling a belt or buttoning up their pants. Just again, make sure that the door is cracked a little so that all times someone can look in on you in the bathroom. That just protects you. So if, God forbid, you were ever accused of anything, someone could always be there and say, no, I was there to witness and nothing happened. So I just really want to stress that we do want to protect you. And I think it says something to our parents that we're taking this stand and working together to train our volunteers so we're all on the same page. With that being said, if you are over 18 and you're volunteering, we are asking that you have a background check done. This is at no charge for you. The church will run the background check. We just have to have you fill out a simple form. If you already are a part of our Coastal Kids ministry and you work with us on Sunday mornings, then you've already had a background check, so you don't have to worry about this part. But if you're new to our team, welcome. We're so glad to have you. Just let me know and I will email you a background check form. Jen Bogart and I will be verifying for those of you that don't have them, so you may hear from us with the background check attached to an email. You just need those to be turned in as soon as possible. Okay, another thing that we might face is a child getting hurt. We hope this doesn't happen, but we need to be prepared. In each of the teaching areas, there are first aid kits with your basics, Band-Aids, gloves, gauze, things like that. We do have access to a kitchen if we needed an ice bag. And in each of the first aid kits, there are forms that you can fill out, the accident report forms. It's important you fill that out and then bring it to my attention or to Brian Oren. He is the other director. We are co-directing this year. Let them know about the accident or injury so that we can have the parent notified at the end of the evening and just kind of go over what steps we followed to help that child work through that time that they got hurt. If you have a 4- or 5-year-old who gets hurt, then you would want to bring that to Marcy Werner's attention, and because she's the one that's overseeing that area. All right, one more final thing as far as when working with children. When we talk about, we want to make sure that we are not doing things that could be perceived in the wrong way. So for example, a big thing, especially when working with younger children, is they love to sit in your lap. We are asking that no children sit in your laps What I like to tell them is sit on my side, because then I have another side to share, and so then there's no one fighting over my lap. So we are not allowed to have kids sit in our laps. We are also not allowed to give kids piggyback rides, and we should be very mindful of the kind of hugs that we're giving them. So a great rule of thumb is do side hugs or high fives or fist bumps or things like that. Now you are going to have those children that definitely want to hug on you and love on you, and that's okay, but we ask that it just be a quick hug, and especially with the older ones, we prefer the high fives and the fist bumps. Okay, now if you have a child who you suspect there could be potential abuse, we have not ever had this happen in the 10 years that I've worked in Coastal Kids, but I have to bring this to your attention. If there is some child says something to you, or you just have a suspicion that there could potentially be something going on in the family, I need you to follow this protocol. I need you to not talk about it to anyone except for myself. You don't even need to bring it to Brian Oren or Marcy Werner. You need to bring it to me. Being the director of our children's ministry, it's my responsibility to report it if I feel necessary. And I want to protect you as a volunteer, not to have to get dragged into anything if an abuse case was reported and found in one of our children. So that's very important to bring it immediately to me. It will be my responsibility to take it from there. Please don't interview the child about it or ask them questions or try to probe to find more information, because that then makes you become involved in that case, and that would be the last thing that I would want for the child to feel uncomfortable, and I don't want you to have to get involved in those kind of things. So like I said, this has never happened for us, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't share that proper protocol with you. All right, so one more final thing as far as safety goes. We will be giving the children name tags, and on each name tag they'll have a family number. It's very important that you all help us by making sure the name tags stay on these children, because these children cannot be released to anybody else unless they have that matching parent tag. So that is a very important thing I'm going to ask for all volunteers to help out with. All right, here is question number 1. Question number 1. If you suspect that there is any kind of abuse happening with the child, or the child says something to you, who do you report that information to? Question number 1. Who do you report any suspected abuse to? Go ahead and pause the video and write your answer, and then come right back. All right, we are moving on to our daily schedule, our nightly schedule. So Kids Blast Week is from 5:30 to 8 p.m. We are going to have the children check in the lobby at registration, just like they've done in the past couple of years. If you're brand new, I will tell you really quick. Every family has a number, and the tags will be kept in bags at the tables. We will have one table set up for brand new people to register, and then we'll have tables set up for people who are already registered. So our registration team will do a great job again to make sure that we're getting all the kids checked in and signed in. Now, if you're working with the 4 and 5-year-olds, then after you get checked in, the kids get checked in, they're going to come right down to that classroom. The area that you're going to be working in is the 3 through pre-K room in our preschool area, the 2-year-old room, and the special needs room. So that's where 4 and 5-year-olds will check in. They come in, get their name tags, and they'll head right down to those classrooms. For our rising 1st through rising 5th graders, they'll check in, get their name tag, and go right into the worship center. Once we're in the worship center, we're going to have our opening session, and that will include a welcome. We're going to have some awesome praise and worship music. We're going to have a little drama, and then the Bible story will actually be told in the large group this year. And we are doing it that way so that all children, rising 1st through 5th graders, will have the opportunity to hear the same story in the same way and be able to really grasp a hold of the big idea for each night. And The same kind of a thing will be happening over in the 4 and 5-year-old room. They'll have their opening session. They'll have their own praise and worship music, their own Bible story, their own drama, and then go from there. Once the elementary, rising first through rising fifth graders, leave the worship center, they're going to go into their small groups, and we're going to break it down by rising first grader. There'll be a rising second grader group all the way up through rising fifth grader group. Now the rising fourth and the rising fifth graders will actually get to go over to building B, and that's where they're going to get to take over. So they're going to have all their activities except for the game station. That will be over in the worship center. So once the kids leave the large group area, the main opening, they're going to go into stations, and that's going to be exciting this year because we're going to have the game station, which is going to be in the main worship center again, and then they're going to have a craft station. Each night there'll be a separate craft. We'll have a snack station, and at the snack station, that's going to kind of be a follow-up station where we're going to really dig into the big idea for the night and kind of reinforce and emphasize what we learned in the Bible story from opening. And then there will be a science station, and that's exciting because we're going to get to do some experiments and, again, reinforce the big idea for the night. So fourth and fifth graders will start out at the game station because they will stay there after the opening. They'll just stay in the worship center, and then they'll move over to building B and stay there for the rest of the rotations. For the last half hour of the night, all of our rising fifth through rising fifth graders will come back in to the main worship center for our closing session. And that's going to be where Brian Oren and I wrap things up. We're going to have some more songs to sing, and then we'll do a small piece about our missions. And that is, we are going to be collecting money for not only Haiti this year, but also South Africa for Abba's Pride Ministry. So I'm really excited about that, and I hope this year that we can bring in even more money than last year. And we're just going to split it down the middle and be able to support both of those awesome ministries. And our 4 and 5-year-olds will join us at closing session for the last 15 minutes of that time. And that we're doing it that way so that all families, all kids can be dismissed from the main worship center. Now we do have a security team that will be on site for the entire week, so we're so blessed to have them on board. For dismissal, the families will come in, get the children, and we'll dismiss the families by row according to how they're sitting. And then they will get to exit out of either back door, the doors that are on the side of the risers in the main worship center. They will not be allowed to exit the door by the Coastal Kids hallway. We will have a security guard there blocking that off. Now at the door, each family will have to show their matching security card, which will match up with the child's card. The numbers will match. And our registration team will take those tags each night and put them back in the bag and get them ready for the following day. All right. Whew, that was a lot of information. All right, so question number 2. Where will the rising first through rising fifth graders have their game station? In what area will the game station be held for the rising first through rising fifth graders? Okay, moving on. We are going to have a meeting for anyone who is able to join us, just to kind of go over things, to do some last minute planning, get some decorations together. And this is going to be Thursday, July 20th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. We're going to meet in Building A. Really exciting. What we're going to get to do on that day is to actually issue these awesome Kids Blast Week shirts. They say Kids Blast Week on the front. On the back it says event staff. And we're going to sign these out. And so we'd love for you to be able to join us. Again, that's Thursday, July 20th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. in Building A. We're going to go over any questions that you might have, and also just kind of run through things pretty quickly as far as how the week is going to go. So we're really hoping that you all will be able to show up there for that. And then if you are not able to show up for that, the time you would get your shirt would be Sunday, July 30th. We're going to be set up at the kiosk up front in the lobby, and you can get your shirt then. But we only have so many shirts and so many sizes. So if you can get to that meeting on July 20th, you'll probably get the size that you need. All right, question number 3. What is the date we are going to meet to finalize all the details and start with the decorations? All right, I'm going to try to wrap this up pretty quick here. We are asking, since Kidz Blast Week starts at 5:30, we're asking that all volunteers get there at 5 o'clock, so that we have a half hour. We're going to meet in the worship center. We are going to pray together, and then the elementary kiddos, the elementary volunteers will have a little meeting, and then the 4 and 5-year-old group will have their meeting over in their room. So if you can get there at 5 o'clock, that would be ideal. I know many of you work and that's not possible, so just get there as soon as you can. On Monday is going to be a little bit different. We're asking that you can get there by 4:30 because that is the craziest, busiest night with all the kids coming and the new registrations, and we just need to be ready to go and on our A game to get started for that night. So Monday 4:30 if at all possible, and every other night at 5. Sorry, my feet are asleep, and so I'm going to go down a little bit. Okay. Now, I would ask that if you have children, so Kidz Blast is for ages 4 through rising 5th graders. So if you have children that are of those ages that are going to join us at Kidz Blast Week, they can come with you early. And we'd love to have them join us for prayer, and then as soon as we're done with prayer, they can either go to the 4 or 5-year-old room or just hang out in the worship center. And we'll have teenagers that will be designated to kind of entertain them while we have our quick debrief for that night, or they can listen and be a part of it too as well. That's absolutely fine. We unfortunately do not have childcare if you have younger children, so we're just going to ask that you try to make arrangements for those kiddos during the time that you're at Kidz Blast Week. At the end of Kidz Blast, at the end of the night, we just ask that you stay around for a very quick debrief and anything we need to let you know for the following day. We hope to have everyone out of there by 8:20 at the latest. If you are working in an area where there has been trash, we just ask that you help us by emptying the garbage, and maybe just assign one volunteer to do that real quick before closing ceremonies or something like that. Every little bit helps. If we all work together, it just helps us to be able to get out of there on time each night. All right, question number 4. What time are we asking you to arrive at church on the very first day of Kidz Blast? So on Monday, July 31st, what time are we asking volunteers to be there? All right. I really promise I'm going to wrap this up right now. Kidz Blast Week is our biggest outreach. In fact, we are trying to take this up a notch this year. On Friday, we are going to have a celebration family carnival. So we will have 4 days of regular Kidz Blast Week. And then on Friday, we're going to invite the families to come with the kids into the worship center. And for the first hour, we're going to be able to show off the songs that we've done and talk about the big ideas, show the main Bible verse, do some fun things with the families there. And then at 6:30, we're going to allow the families to get their children and then go out to the carnival. At the carnival, we are going to have inflatables and games. We're going to grill out hot dogs. We'll have drinks and popcorn, and we're going to do freezy pops. It should be a great time, and it will only go till about 8 o'clock. So it's a short carnival, but it's a time that we can just come and celebrate. And a bonus is Dusty is going to get together some live music for us. So we're going to get to show off a little bit of our worship team with some live music. The idea behind this is Kidz Blast Week is our greatest outreach at Coastal Community Church this year. And we want to reach the community. We want to spread the love of Christ right there in our neighborhood. And so we absolutely love our Coastal Kids families now, but we want to reach some new people, and we want to just plant those seeds of the love of Christ. And so that is our greatest goal, is to just reach out in the community and share the love of Christ with them. So that being said, we have lots of spots available for kids to sign up at Kidz Blast Week. So if you have neighbors or your kids have friends, invite them to come be a part of this awesome week. Even if someone hasn't come to Kidz Blast Week the entire week and they see us setting up for the carnival, they are welcome to come, because it's never too late to show them the love of Jesus. So I've got my last question for you, and that question is, what is the main goal of Kidz Blast Week 2017? All right, guys, I know I gave you a ton of information, and I just can't thank you enough for your time, your commitment, and your investment just to take or to watch this training and to answer these questions. If you have any questions yourself after watching this video, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can just reply right back to this email. Thanks again, and I can't wait to see you guys for Kidz Blast Week 2017.